Welcome, everybody. I'm Dr. Lorna Chambers Andrade, and I've emceed this program for the ninth year. This is our ninth year actually doing this, and I want to thank each one of you for joining us this year. We're happy to have you and the co-MC. And he has actually done so much work with the veterans here on Martha's Vineyard, and he'll tell you about that when he joins us at a later time. So at this time, I think we all need a good prayer, and we have my pastor from the United Methodist Church of Martha's Vineyard, Pastor Joanne Huss, who will give us a prayer. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Lorna.
You're welcome.
Let us pray. Source of all, we thank you for our bodies that are fearfully and wonderfully made, our minds that you endow with curiosity, and our spirits that seek to heal with compassion and wisdom. Be with us this evening as we seek to share knowledge and care so that all may be healed and whole. In your name we pray. Amen.
Thank you for that wonderful prayer. At this time, I'd like to introduce to you all Marie Ruggio, retired RN, former treasurer of our NAACP branch chapter here on Martha's Vineyard, and health committee, who's been a great help through all the years with the AdMeTech Foundation. So Marie is going to give you the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement, and she's going to also talk to you a little bit about the AdMeTech Foundation. So go forward, Marie.
Okay, good evening. We acknowledge that we are living in the land of the people and nation who originate from this land, have cared for it for at least 12,000 years, and still celebrate it as home today. Although commonly referred to as Martha's Vineyard, this island has a much older name, a Wampanoag name, Noepi. Through this acknowledgement, we wish to celebrate Wampanoag culture, creativity, and perspective. We hope to honor Wampanoag perseverance in the face of colonialism, invisibility, and cultural genocide. And we commit to restorative relationships and practices with the Wampanoag people of Noepi. After all, it is important to remember that no matter where you go in what is now the United States, you are always on Indigenous land. Prostate cancer discriminates. It's the most common male cancer and a leading health disparity. Black men are 2.5 times more likely to die, but early detection saves lives. If you are diagnosed with prostate cancer, you can get help from the Prostate Cancer Resource Project. This project was established by AdMeTech Foundation in collaboration with Mass General Brigham and UMass Chan Medical School. Its mission is to leave no man behind or struggling alone. Who can participate? Any Massachusetts man age 40 or older. The priority is Black, Hispanic, and Latino men who have higher risk of poor quality care. How do they help? By expediting visits with leading doctors and supporting men every step of their medical journey.
Thank you, Marie. That was great. Great information given. So at this time, we were going to have Dr. Tankard to be introducing the acknowledgements from the Martha's Vineyard State House delegation as champions of the prostate cancer educational programs for high-risk men, with the priority focus on Black and Hispanic and Latino individuals. So I'm going to table that, but I want you all to be introduced to our new president of the NAACP, Sean Ramator, and I'll ask Tony Kaufman, our immediate past president, if she could share a greeting and maybe introduce Sean as well, because I know you've been working together with him. And he's new. It's just been the last 10 days, I think. It's about that. Anyways, go ahead. Go ahead, Tony.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I did attend the last two, I believe,
Yeah.
and learned a great deal of wonderful information and have communicated with Dr. Stern several times and really happy to be here this evening. Um, as Dr. Lorna shared with you, we did lose someone very precious to us in our community, and we miss him. And we are here to support as a community, support his lovely wife, Brenda. And again, I read that on the flyer, and I was, just very saddened
Yeah.
that he is not here to share his journey with all of us tonight. But I am pleased to say that we now have a new president, newly elected president, and he has been very actively engaged for over a year now, and has come to know a little bit more about us, the current folk that are the core of the NAACP on Martha's Vineyard, which is including several of us from this gathering tonight. So without further ado, I will ask him if he would please say a few words in greeting to this group as we prepare ourselves to learn much more about awareness of prostate cancer. Sean?
Thank you. Thank you, Tony. Sean?
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sean Ramatar. As they said, I am the newly elected president of the Martha's Vineyard branch of the NAACP. I want to thank Dr. Lorna and Maria Russo and everyone else involved with this project. Being a man myself, I'm very impressed with the mammogram project. And it is awareness that needs to get up about all kinds of healthcare things. And not just that, as our branch embarks on rebuilding the great legacy that has been left by so many elders here, and the work that needs to continue in civil rights and just community advocacy in general. And so I have my work cut out for me, but I'm very enthusiastic about the future. And I just thank everyone for their continued support.
Thank you so much, Sean. We're so happy to have you on board. And you will learn a lot this evening because Dr. Stern and Dr. Murphy is going to equip you with a lot of good information.
Okay.
So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you all someone who's been with us for the last few years of giving testimony. He's my little church brother and a wonderful man, John Freeman, who will give a testimony about his adventure with prostate cancer. He is a survivor. God bless you. Come, John.
Okay. Well, I'm frankly quite surprised that I'm alive to speak to you tonight. I'm quite surprised and thankful. I was diagnosed with my prostate cancer in January of 2010 with no symptoms. Not a symptom. My then new doctor noticed that my PSA at that point was 60. He did a digital exam, and then I started feeling symptoms. And within a couple of weeks, my PSA had risen to 80. Now, I happened to live in Ann Arbor, Michigan at the time, which was one of the reasons why I'm here today. I was quickly invited to take part in a study that was so successful they stopped it early to open it up to everybody. And that was taking or being given some doxycycline along with Lupron, and that seemed to have worked for quite a while. I outlived my life expectancy. My then urologist had said he had mentioned something, guys pretty much at your stage make it about 30 months, but that's old information. And I heard 30 months. Well, here we are, what, almost 16 years later. Um, and so we moved here, and my PSA had started going up. And I was the folks at the hospital put me in touch with the cancer folks up at Mass General. And I was put on some, I believe it was Zytiga with prednisone that worked for almost 6 years. I had to go up there a lot and get scans as part of a study, but it was worthwhile doing that. And I'm so pleased that I had access to that. I don't know how many others did.
Right.
But it's about 2020, it started being ineffective, and they put me on a similar drug that worked for about a year. I was starting to get worried. And in about 2022, I was given some radium, I forgot which kind, infusions up at Mass General that did some good for a little while.
Mhm.
And then, but then, my cancer kept progressing, and I had a port implanted and was put on a twice as long a regimen of doxycycline. So that did some good. I did as much harm as good, but kept me going for a while. Then last year was given some Pluvicto. It's a infusions of radium something, and they did a little good. Um, and I didn't have any bad side effects, for which I was thankful. But again, my disease progressed. And around this time last year, I was started given some cabazitaxel, and
Mhm.
it seemed to do okay for a while, but then my disease kept going. But also, by Christmas time, um, my tailbone pain had become such that I was in almost excruciating pain much of the time. I had trouble sitting, had trouble sleeping, and just I was a mess. And
Mhm.
early this year, um, I went through 5 or 6 radiation treatments that got the pain down to where I can sit and sleep and lead a normal life. And but we had about reached the limit of available treatments for me, and the disease was progressing. But and I don't know how much you know about this. There's can I even pronounce it? Olaparib or Lynparza. I have some genetic mutations
Okay.
that allow a relatively new pill to work. And
Mhm.
what it does, and has had probably the most effective treatment I've had, it makes it harder for my cancer cells to repair themselves.
Mm.
And so between the radiation treatment and um, the Lynparza, people have said I look better than I have in years, and I feel better. I mean, I almost felt like a real person. And I didn't realize how crummy I felt for years until I didn't feel as crummy, to where
Uh-huh.
my normal other things were hurting me. Um, but because some of these treatments had affected my kidneys, I'm on a slightly reduced dosage,
Mhm.
and here I am. I started that in April. It's still working. My PSA went down a lot. It's starting to climb up a little bit,
Okay.
but it seems to still be working. And unfortunately, in September, I had an infection in my port,
Yeah.
and I had my first ever hospital stay because they weren't sure if the bacteria had spread. But I had my
Mhm.
port removed, and now if I get something, they're gonna have to stick me. But the thing is, how did I get this treatment? Why me?
Yeah.
And why haven't others? You know,
Mhm.
I I didn't expect to be around now. This new drug won't work for a long time, but I'm determined to be an outlier. And there's so many men who
Yeah.
don't have access, I mean, even just to the diagnostic procedures I've been through and continue to go through. And that bothers me. I no longer feel guilty.
Yes.
I'm thankful. But we can do so much in this country. I mean, we could feed the world almost. We can certainly could feed all of our own people if we wanted to.
Yes.
And, with the advances in medical treatments, we could do so much more. I mean, this one drug I'm on, if I had to pay for it, we couldn't afford it. It's around $17,000 a month,
Mm-hmm.
if I had to pay for it. But the hospital um, found a way so I don't at this point.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I wouldn't be in good shape. But
Right.
with groups like um, AdMeTech,
Yes.
if we work together and if people demand it, if our families demand it, we can get better services. We can get more access to treatment for more men. We can help little kids have their dad or granddad around longer, or their uncle or whoever.
Mm-hmm.
We can do that. And, I'm so thankful that um, all this group exists working towards that end.
Yes.
And I hate to go into politics, not really, but if we can elect leaders who actually care and are willing to stick their necks out a little bit,
Yeah.
this and other cancers and other conditions um, can be treated more fairly, equitably, and more people can be taken care of. But right now we're focusing on prostate cancer and especially men of color and their families. And
Yeah.
keep doing the work you're doing. Don't ever get frustrated. Don't ever get um, disappointed. Do what you can. You know, I'm here. I shouldn't be. I wouldn't have been if I hadn't been in the right place at the right time. Let's
Mm.
get more people to that place and help them have a future, a brighter future. So
Yeah.
thank you all so much for what you're doing.
Well, we thank you for your testimony, your spirit, and your blessings. And keep up the good work, John. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm looking to see it did while we were doing this, did Bob Tankard show up? Bob, are you here? Okay, Bob's not here, so we're going to keep moving on. So at this time, Bob was going to be introducing Dr. Adam Murphy. Is Dr. Murphy here?
No, I believe he needs a few minutes.
Okay,
I
so
will check in with him, but I'll be happy to proceed.
okay, so then I will introduce to you our leader, our founder, our terrific. We know her as Dr. Faye. It's Dr. Faina Stern. She is an international leader in the fight against prostate cancer and a lifelong advocate for health equity. Dr. Stern is the founder, president, and CEO of the AdMeTech Foundation, the Boston-based nonprofit organization where, for more than 25 years, she has been leading research, education, and advocacy for advancing early detection of prostate cancer, critical for saving lives and reducing health disparity. Dr. Stern is a daughter of a prostate cancer survivor, and her mission is personal and urgent to make sure no man dies because his cancer was found too late. Under her leadership, the AdMeTech has become the driving force for the first United States congressional hearing on prostate cancer, and for the Massachusetts legislature to become the first in the nation to recognize prostate cancer as a public health priority and leading health disparity. In 2016, Boston Business Journal named Dr. Stern as Woman of Influence for her work on the AdMeTech Foundation prostate cancer programs. She has served as a faculty member in radiology at Mass General, Beth Israel Children's Hospital of the Harvard Medical School, and as a senior leader at the National Cancer Institute, the National Institute of Health, and the United States Department of Health and Human Services, and as an advisor to the American Academy of Science, the United States Congress, the U.S. President Cancer Panel, Vice President Biden's Cancer Moonshot, and the European Union and other national, international organizations. Now, I say to each one of you, could we have any better leader than Dr. Faina Stern? And at this time, she's going to present to us. God bless you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dr. Andrade. Thank you. Thanks to you, to Tony, to everyone at Martha's and ACP for a great and wonderful partnership since 2016, 2017.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for me to forget how we met at the annual conference of the New England Area Conference of NAACP.
Yeah.
And I made presentation about prostate cancer, and you approached me, and the rest is history for prostate cancer awareness. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Action. And actually, Dr. Adam Murphy just joined us.
Oh, okay. So do you want me to skip back to him?
Absolutely. Do you mind introducing Dr. Murphy?
I don't mind at all. It's such a pleasure. I'm so honored to be able to introduce him. Dr. Adam Murphy, welcome, welcome, welcome. And here is his bio. Dr. Adam Murphy is a surgeon scientist and the Distinguished Professor of Population Health Research and Urology at Northwestern Medicine. He has been studying the variations in risk of prostate cancer across various ethnic and racial communities to improve precision medicine. He is also interested in improving the safety of and compliance with a non-invasive approach to prostate cancer care. I'm going to say that again, with a non-invasive approach to prostate cancer care or active surveillance, and a safety net in community settings. His federally funded lab has been looking at the role of diagnostic and prognostic biomarkers, risk calculators, and prostate MRI to improve outcomes for men at the risk of prostate cancer or diagnosed with prostate cancer clinically. He is interested in general urology and men's health and has appointments at Northwestern Medicine and Jesse Brown VA Medical Center. It is such a pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Adam Murphy. Welcome, welcome.
Well, thank you, Dr. Andrade. That was an amazing introduction. I'm going to replace you with my mother for that kind of introduction.
No, but thank you. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
We're so happy to have you.
I'm happy to be here. This is actually going to be my first time getting to interact with the NAACP on this side of town. So,
well, the NAACP is cheering you on. So give us a lot of wisdom and knowledge here tonight.
You got it. You got it. I think me and Dr. Stern are partnering on this, right? Or okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Adam, you could just start your presentation whenever you're ready. Adam is a long-time participant of our global annual summit on precision diagnosis and treatment of prostate cancer. I'll talk about when Adam is done with his talk.
Okay.
And I'm very, very grateful to him for taking the time to join us tonight. Adam, we are so excited you had a chance to join us.
Oh, no. I'm so glad we are doing this. Let me make sure that I am ready to get this going and put this in the right view.
Yeah.
Mhm. Sorry, guys. This is, give me 1 second. Let me put it in the right view.
It showed up, but it wasn't centered.
Okay, let me just share the whole screen with you.
Did I hear you humming? You got a good voice if that was you.
While Dr. Murphy is getting his presentation ready, I just want to add to his introduction, he is a world authority, not only in prostate cancer care and research, but in health disparities.
Wonderful.
So thanks for the, can you hear me now?
Yeah, sure.
And you can see the presentation too, correct?
Yeah, it says Prostate Cancer 101. Adam B. Murphy, MD, MBA, MSCI.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Thank you for all the intro. So Dr. Stern's been and I've been getting to work together on a topic that I'm pretty passionate about. She's singularly passionate about doing better in all things prostate cancer screening, treatment, diagnosis, detection, and treatment, and then also even an outcome prediction. So she's amazing, and I'm glad that she invites me to do my presentations, which really centers on the fact that I was really taking care of patients as a resident at the Jesse Brown VA, and I was pulling up the prostate cancer prevention trial risk calculator that was online.
Mm-hmm.
And I would tell my patients, oh, you have a 25% chance of prostate cancer on this biopsy that is
Ooh,
potentially lethal. You,
yeah.
you know, the odds are in your favor, right?
Uh,
And then I would get 70% of them were coming back positive.
Ooh.
55 to 70% of them kept coming back positive. And it made me think there's something that we're not doing right in our prediction abilities with these risk tools. And I realized that we were averaging everyone together.
Yeah.
But prostate cancer is unusual in that while whites have kind of average risk here, um, Asians and Hispanics are up 30% lower, and blacks are 70% higher risk.
Hmm.
And so you can't really use an average when you have these kinds of population differences. And so I started to think about health disparities, not from the sense of like I want to create equity everywhere, but I wanted to create accuracy. So
Sure.
do a better job of mentoring people. So just for people's quick knowledge, I'm going to talk about the prostate. Am I right that some people don't know about prostate cancer that much, and I can give them
That's
a
right. You're absolutely right. So go ahead on 101
okay?
fundamentals.
And that's not to be belittling people, but I
No?
can tell you that men are much more likely to tell me where the uterus is and what the ovaries do than what
Yeah.
the prostate does. I don't know why that is,
Okay.
but it's true. And so the bladder, it's the prostate's right underneath the bladder, and so most people think of it as a they come to the urologist or their primary care doctor because their prostate has grown so much that it starts to squeeze the urethra, making
Mhm.
it harder for the man to urinate fast. So his stream gets slower. He may dribble urine at the end of his stream because it gets caught in the prostate folds as it gets toward the end of the stream. Sometimes it makes a man's bladder work so hard that the muscles get thick, like in this picture. And then this big, heavy bladder wall makes it so that his bladder feels the pressure of that wall along with any little bit of urine so that he has to go to the bathroom all the time.
Mhm.
Even though he doesn't have a really full bladder, he feels like he's full. And so that's how people tend to know about their prostate is that it's grown, it's choking or pinching the urethra because it grows as a sex gland ever since a man enters puberty. And so it's been growing since he was, somewhere between 9 and 13 years old. And over time, that growth can involve blocking the urine flow. So it's a urinary organ in that it provides a dam to urine flow so that men don't tend to leak on themselves, at least in most of their lives. They don't leak urine. But it also produces semen. It produces 35% of the semen. And so when the ejaculate comes out of a man when he's had sex, that fluid is 5% from the testicle sperm. Only 5% of that is actually sperm. 35% is from the prostate. It's sugar water for the sperm to eat on that marathon swim to the egg. And then because you can see that it's around the urethra, it also has muscular tissue in here to squeeze the semen out during ejaculation to start the rhythmic contraction of the semen out of the penis. So it's a important sex gland as well. Behind here, which they did not include in this picture, are these little bunny ear shaped structures called the seminal vesicles that produce 60% of the semen. And it's white and creamy and thick, that fluid, and gelatinous. And the other function of the prostate is to liquefy that semen to become watery in about 5 minutes. So it's an efficient way to deliver sperm into the vagina in one gloopy gelatinous fluid, but it wouldn't be good to swim with that whole bundle to the egg. So the PSA is actually meat tenderizer. It breaks down the semen in about 5 minutes to become watery, and then it frees the sperm to swim to the egg. So I would argue that the prostate is probably the third most important sex gland in a man, sex organ in a man. Most people will say their penis and their testicles. Smart people will say it's probably their brain. Many women would probably say it's their brain too. It's how you get to that space of wanting to be attracted to somebody. So, but the prostate is an important one. And so without the prostate, there are no babies because the semen does not get into the urethra without a prostate. Neither does the sperm because that is the delivery system to get it in there. So testicles, we know those are the two organs outside the body that are responsible for making sperm and testosterone, the male hormone that we think of as male, but it actually is in both of us. But it's about 10 times higher in men than women, 10 to 20 times higher. So it makes us more sexually charged than women on average because of their increased testosterone levels. But it's also responsible for thicker muscles, thicker bone structure, deeper voice, facial hair, more body hair, higher blood counts, so they're a little more energetic and a little more aggressive because of testosterone's effect on mood. So testicles are important. What is prostate cancer? Oh, and by the way, if people have a question, please either interrupt or use the little hand symbol. I will stop and answer questions in the middle, okay? So what is prostate cancer? So we know the prostate is got a gland function, and those glands are little donut-shaped glands where the hole is where they put the PSA and the sugar water, fructose to be exact, and on the outside of the cells, and they're wrapped in a little layer of saran wrap called a basal cell membrane. That is what keeps it from spreading and contacting other tissues or other parts of that prostate. It's supposed to stay put because it's wrapped in this basal cell layer, like saran wrap. And so the first sign of prostate cancer is that it loses that layer of saran wrap or basal cell layer so that these glands no longer have to respect the boundaries, the space of their neighbors. So a hallmark of prostate cancer and any cancer is that it acts invasively. It can steal blood supply, nutrients, and space from neighboring parts of the normal gland or organ. So it doesn't respect its neighbors. That's one of the hallmarks. The other thing is that it can spread through the bloodstream or the lymphatic system to other parts of the body. But prostate cancer, and it's in its essence is poorly controlled growth of cells due to DNA damage. So it's not just mutations that do the DNA damage. Sometimes our diets, sometimes our lack of exercise, sometimes the inflammation we have in our body can also make epigenetic, even smoking can make epigenetic changes that modifies how our genes or the DNA inside the prostate cells are used. That also is a part of the cancer process. But prostate cancer, in its essence, is uncontrolled growth of the gland cells that make sugar water and PSA, which I told you was meat tenderizer. It isn't a cancer gene or cancer protein, but because prostate cancer cells make so much PSA, and then they steal blood supply from the neighboring areas, more PSA from those glands leak into the bloodstream, and that's what makes the PSA high.
Mhm.
So PSA, prostate specific antigen, is not, I don't know why the fireworks went off, but that was exciting. But I don't, the PSA makes the um, cancer detectable in the bloodstream with the blood test. So 95% of prostate cancers are detected with the PSA blood test. The other 5% are usually through rectal exam, where a doctor will put their finger in a man's rectum, feel for lumps or bumps on that prostate gland because it's not that far from the rectum, and we can feel the nodules or bumps of cancer cells on the backside of the prostate. So prostate cancer is these cells are growing over time. It takes usually prostate cancer to 5 years to double in size. So it's a slow growing tumor. But because the prostate is a toxin dump for our urine, right? And we also get blood, it can be exposed to a lot of toxins. And so oftentimes it's not just one area of the prostate that has a tumor in it. Sometimes there are multiple sites in the same prostate with tumors because it receives urine, which is our toxic waste product, right? And because of that exposure, lots of the benign glands go through a precancerous stage called high-grade PIN, and then it can become a low-grade cancer, and then become a high-grade cancer, more aggressive looking. And if they get to be higher grade tumors, they can start to spread and cause problems. And that's why early detection, Dr. Andrade, as you said earlier, super important, right?
Super.
And so when you are talking about a disease that is the most common male cancer, right, and the second leading cause of cancer death in men in the United States and in the world, we know it's a serious problem.
Right.
And if there were a cure for it, like Tahitian noni juice or alkaline water or fasting or an African root, believe me, those people would be billionaires
Mm.
because that's how common a cancer it is. Our last president just had metastatic prostate cancer. So right now there are no easy cures. There's no easy preventions. I don't care what the health food doctor says, health food store. If they were right, they'd be rich.
Yeah.
Okay. So trust what you know. So if you ever decide I'm going to go with the health food way or the kind of non-traditional medicine way, please do it in partnership with your doctor so that they know what's happening with you too. So how did I get to be doing this? I found myself in Rick Kittle's lab. You all probably know of him either through his company, AfricanAncestry.com, or his work on Know Your Roots with Henry Skip Gates. He was a geneticist behind the first 3 seasons of that study. He's also the way we measure genetic ancestry so that I know that I am 94% West African, 4% European, 1.6% Native American. He is in that lab where we found out that vitamin D deficiency was a predictor of prostate biopsy outcomes, meaning that if you had a vitamin D drawn right before your biopsy, I could predict with 70% accuracy whether or not you were going to have cancer because if you had deficiency
Hmm.
at a few of your labs. And this effect was mainly seen in Black men. It was associated with high-grade cancer in white men, but only with the presence of any cancer in Black men. So you
Mhm.
might ask, why would Black men be special, right? Well, the idea of deficiency is that we used to believe that you get 90% of it from the sun. And that actually is only true if you're white. It's not true if you're Black because good old melanin that makes me look a little bit younger than my real age is also messing me up in terms of getting vitamin D from the sun in a place that's not West Africa. So when I was in Chicago in the middle of the summer running my marathon, I was 37. My vitamin D was 37. And I was out there in short clothes on the lakefront, which means I get lake water reflection and sun reflection,
Yeah.
and I was barely normal.
Ooh.
So all that to say that vitamin D deficiency is from when you have melanin is actually from whether or not you take supplements or not.
Mhm.
When you're in the north part of the country, like we are, like all of us are actually. So that you don't get enough sun exposure from November through April to make enough vitamin D from sun exposure. So the golfers out there, the swimmers in the lakes, you're still not safe from vitamin D deficiency for half the year. So
Mhm.
melanin makes us chronically vitamin D deficient from age 18 on. That's why Black kids are one of the few people that you'll see with rickets or bow legs. That's a melanin issue because the bones are weaker when they're young because of melanin. And so you
Mhm.
have to get some vitamin D3 supplemented somehow, or eat a lot of shiitake mushrooms and wild caught salmon. Uh,
Wow.
but it's not an easy thing to come by. So the symptoms are not common in prostate cancer. So to your point, Dr. Andrade, about catching it early, I
Yeah.
see men tell me, and some women will say, look, doc, I know my body. I'm exquisitely sensitive. If anything's wrong, I'm gonna know before you do that is wrong. And I don't have prostate cancer. And only 5% of people present with symptoms, and it's almost always because it's advanced.
Mhm.
I showed you where the prostate was, right?
Right.
It can grow quite a while before it blocks up anything or causes pain, right? You have a lot of space before it causes discomfort. Some men rarely will get like a prostatitis because they've blocked off a ejaculatory duct or something. They may get
Mhm.
blood in the urine. Some men may have it where it happens to form around the urethra and they have more difficulty urinating.
Mhm.
But most people with symptoms present with bone pain, jaundice, weight loss, um, weakness, because it's spread outside the body already.
Mhm.
So you cannot use symptoms. You have to screen with your doctor with the PSA blood test at least. Okay. But if you do have symptoms, most times they're related to just benign prostate growth. But if they are advanced, you can get kidney blockage because I don't know if you saw in that picture. The bladder is here, right?
Mhm.
And the kidneys plug in to the back of the bladder to deliver urine. And if the prostate cancer is really growing big, it can actually block off one or both kidneys from draining urine effectively into the bladder. So you'll get some people with kidney failure or
Like
kidney
some.
pain on one side, but
Mhm.
most people don't have symptoms. How do we diagnose it so we can catch it early? The PSA blood test was FDA approved in 1992, and my former mentor here, Dr. William Catalona, got it FDA approved in 1992. So we're at 33 years of PSA testing.
Yeah.
It, it has brought down the mortality rate, but sex brings your PSA level up. Uh, Masturbation brings up your PSA level. Extensive bike riding, uh, pelvic pressure, urinary retention prostate procedures, prostate infections, bladder infections, testicle infections can bring your PSA levels up from inflammation or trauma to the prostate. Anything bothering the prostate, making it squeeze, will make the PSA go up temporarily a little. So that's why it's not a perfect test because it's not specific to cancer. You could have sex and have it happen. You can have a big prostate and have it happen. Have a PSA that's higher than normal for your age. But it is our best first line screening test to this day. And we will use the digital rectal exam to help us determine whether this PSA is because, your prostate's huge or you have a nodule in there that makes us worried about cancer. And so because I told you the prostate grows with age because it's a sex gland under the stimulation of testosterone, it's going to increase the whole man's life. But you see there's a lot of variation in that, right? The range is from 0 to 2 in your 40s with a median level of 0.7, 0.7. 1 is the median level of PSA in the 50s, but it goes up to 4 and still be normal for healthy people. It goes up to 4.5 in the 60s and up to 5.5 in the 70s. But we still use 1 threshold, which is PSA greater than 3 right now, to refer people to urologists. Sometimes we'll do it earlier. If you have a big increase from 1 year to the next, or it's just going up too fast, then we will still have you go to see a urologist to catch a fast-growing tumor early. Because it isn't just the prostate size that makes your PSA higher. Prostate cancer size also can make it higher faster. So you have one of the bad, rare variants of prostate cancer, which is growing very fast, faster than that 5 years. Your PSA may double in a year. And then we have to get you over to the urologist so we don't miss our opportunity to cure you. So when PSAs are higher than 3 now, under the new guidelines, they should repeat it once to make sure that it wasn't from sex, right? They should also make sure you don't have any urinary tract infection, or your bladder is not emptying well, because those can also cause PSA elevations. But most people just send you to the urologist and have us deal with it. If your PSA's in this greater than 100, it's probably cancer, and it's probably not curable. You can control it. You can keep people in good control for 5 years on average, but I've seen people go up to 15, 20 years with a metastatic cancer diagnosis. So there's still possible treatments, but the chance of cure is low. So early is definitely better than later to get this looked at. And there's this gray zone that Dr. Stern and I work on a lot called a diagnostic gray zone, where you have this PSA now between 3 and 10, where it could be cancer, it could be pre-cancer, which is high-grade PIN. It could be just your prostate's big or inflamed, or you're not peeing right. Your urine is backed up and it's causing pressure on the prostate, and that pressure spreads the PSA through the bloodstream. So that gray zone means we're not sure. So how do you know? What do you do when you're not sure? You go for another test in medicine. So the digital rectal exam is a good test for us in that you can see that if the rectal exam is abnormal, the prostate exam when you do the finger is abnormal. If you're not Black, which is whites and Hispanics and Asians in this study, mostly whites, but some Hispanics and Asians, the risk goes from, I think, 18 to 20% increased risk of significant cancer, a potentially lethal cancer. But if you're Black, it starts off higher at baseline at 20% and goes up to 48% if you have an abnormal rectal exam. So if you have an abnormal PSA, you should get a rectal exam from the doctor. This is more important if they don't have access to a prostate MRI test, which can help when you don't, to help be a better test. I'll show you more. So this is a prostate MRI. In this one, you go through a long tube called MRI machine or a magnetic resonance imaging machine. Some men have already had these for their shoulders or their back, or maybe they had headaches and they got a MRI of their head. But this one is a 45-minute exam. They look at the prostate with switching the magnetic field in this machine gives you different sequences. So it can align the water molecules in the prostate so that you can measure the flow of water through tissue, and it gives you these different colors. So this is the prostate, this little peripheral rim here, this gray zone here. It's called the peripheral zone that's closest to the rectum. So if I did a rectal exam, this is what I could feel in that back half for nodules or lumps and bumps. This part is what you have since you're a young kid. But this part, this middle part that looks like a chaotic storm of gray, is the benign prostate that grows with aging because of the testosterone growth in your body. That can be worsened by low vitamin D levels or taking too much testosterone or too much cholesterol, probably, in fatty foods to make this part grow faster. And it also is related to how your androgen receptor signaling is, and also about how people are in your family. If your dad or your grandfather had prostate related urination issues, you can have this grow even faster. So this is how the prostate looks in, like, say, a 65-year-old. You can see this swirly, chaotic chaos is what you see in benign tissue, but you see this kind of smudged charcoal or erased pencil area here.
Yeah.
It looks the same, right? It looks less light gray, it's more deep gray, and it's more homogeneous, right? Not random. That's an area that would be highly suspicious for prostate cancer. Maybe this area over here too, but this looks suspicious. This is what would help a urologist to determine not just where to biopsy kind of blindly with an ultrasound machine, but where to specifically put a needle in to detect prostate cancer. So it can increase the sensitivity, the accuracy of detecting significant cancer from 76% with just ultrasound biopsy to 90% if you're black and 97% if you're white. So the MRI really improves the accuracy of an MRI. Guided biopsy. If you have a prostate biopsy, you want to have it with an MRI because it makes it more accurate, is the bottom line. But in some men, if you have a negative MRI that doesn't show anything suspicious, it helps people avoid unnecessary biopsies. Now, in a negative MRI, it's not perfect. It can still miss significant tumors about a quarter of the time. Most of those tumors in white populations are benign, like low-grade indolent tumors that are not really aggressive. That doesn't seem to be true in black men, though. I'll tell you a little bit more about that in a second. This is how the biopsies look. There's an ultrasound probe in the rectum. The needle goes through the skin. Here, we do it now in Northwestern and many places through the skin of the perineum, the skin behind the scrotum and in front of the anus. It's called the perineum or the taint. Some people call it the other things too, but the gooch. But that skin there between the legs is where you can sterilize it with sterilizing solutions like chlorhexidine or betadine and do a much safer biopsy now with this transperineal prostate biopsy approach. We take 10 samples of the prostate, and then in the areas that were identified by MRI, like here, you can take 3 samples or 2 samples just to make sure that you get good tissue from that highly suspicious area. And then this is the old way we did it that people are still doing in the country. About half of them are still done this way. You go through the wall of the rectum into the prostate, but that can see bacteria into the bloodstream, and it's about 3% risk of infection. Some of them end up in hospitalizations. Okay, I've been talking a lot. We're going to switch to the aggressiveness a bit Are we comfortable with, does anyone have any questions before I move on to that?
Are you seeing a lot more younger people at age 40 with an aggressive stage of the prostate cancer now?
Yeah, so good questions. Like colon cancer, you're getting more young prostate cancer. And unfortunately, blacks are more likely to be in that young group too. It's still, so the median age is 67 in the average. So half of the people are over 67. Less than 10% of people are less than 50 in their 40s. Less than 10%. But if you are there, it is likely to be blacks in that group.
Mhm.
So several of our regulatory guideline committees have now decided to um, make it so that you do a PSA testing in your early 40s because that will predict who develops cancer much better and who needs to be watched more closely in the early years. So if your PSA is less than 0.7,
Mhm.
you could probably not come back till you're 50 to get another PSA test. But if you're above that zero point 0.7, let's say you're 1, you probably should be screening every other year in that interval to
Mhm.
be making sure that we don't miss a cancer development.
Okay.
So, um,
Mm.
yeah. So when I talked about low-grade cancers, these are the kind of cancers I was talking about. So over here are some benign glands that are, you can draw an individual circle around these glands, right?
Mhm.
But you see this little nodule of area of densely packed glands. They even have this little pink stuff in the middle called
Yeah.
corporate amylation. This is grade group 1 prostate cancer.
Mm.
Low grade indolent rarely kills anybody, but it is how prostate cancer can look early in the disease.
Mhm.
Because they're so slow growing, we oftentimes can survey these men and not treat them actively with surgery or radiation. Just follow the PSAs, the MRIs, and some prostate biopsies to make, and some genomic tests are also helpful in predicting the risk of these tumors. But we can most often not treat them with surgery or radiation, at least for several years. So if you got to get a cancer, this is the reason to detect it early so that you don't have to treat it and deal with any treatment related side effects from surgery or radiation or even focal therapy, like freezing it with cryotherapy or kind of killing it with lasers or with high intensity sound waves called focal ultrasound.
Okay.
These are more, this is the other end of the spectrum, which is this is grade group 1 cancer. This is grade group 5 cancer.
Mm.
Where you see that they're not even making glands anymore, right? There's no space for PSA and sugar water. It's just all these cells are trying to fight for themselves. They're
Mhm.
trying to grow beyond their space, compete for extra blood supply. You can see some of the red blood supply around here, right? And even it's growing so much that it's actually dying off, necrosing. That they've outstripped their own blood supply, so it's dying. That's what this bottom right corner is. Necrosis. So that's how you know cancer is acting not like a benign prostate anymore. It's acting like a tumor.
Mhm.
So you can do a lot of tests to stage the disease. You can even use genomic tests, like I talked to you about, to talk about the epigenetics or the way the tumors are using cancer genes can predict how aggressive they are acting. Most of my work
Mhm.
has been on this test, and I validated this for accuracy in Black men in 2014. So I've been using that, but there are some better tests I like Decipher better, and they have done some data reports in African Americans. They were never really reviewed, but it's a great test overall. The other tests are just CAT scans, bone scans, prostate MRIs if was not done before biopsy or diagnosis. And then we can even use PET scans. PSMA PET scans is a new thing on the horizon that many urologists, radiation oncologists, nuclear medicine physicians are really excited about, and even medical oncologists, because it helps us detect prostate cancer with much more accuracy, especially if it's outside the prostate and spread. And it's helping us do a better job of treating men with other types of therapies that we used to think we just had to give hormone treatments to. Now we can give like focal radiation therapy, or even sometimes focal prostate cryotherapy for recurrent prostate cancer now. So PSMA PET scans are really helping to redefine treatment algorithms and making people live longer through better treatment and healthier, having more treatment options over the course of their journey from if it comes back to metastasis to even death. We can prolong a lot of that stuff now with our new treatments. So the mainstays for local cancer, radical prostatectomy surgery to remove the prostate and seminal vesicle, radiation, active surveillance, and the focal therapies we talked about. And there are guidelines that we can use to help patients learn about the disease before they make a treatment decision. The Prostate Cancer Foundation has a really kind of good baseline reading for patients. So I now tell patients when they're diagnosed, you have one of the 8 different categories of prostate cancer. There's very low risk, favorable intermediate, unfavorable intermediate, high risk, very high risk, regional, and metastatic.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of range of cancer. So prostate cancer is not one thing. And so the treatments vary by the aggressiveness. So very low is the one that gets active surveillance, doesn't need surgery or radiation or focal therapy up front, right? Whereas unfavorable intermediate, we don't even get to offer active surveillance anymore. We have to go with something active. It can be focal therapy if you're lucky, but it's oftentimes surgery or some type of radiation therapy to help you. And then there are trials that are even using medications along with those treatments to really advance, like strengthen the kill on that cancer, to get rid of any prostate cancer cells, circulating in the bloodstream, even beyond just taking the prostate out. You get anything that's floating around your body with some of these other things, and these drugs will make them go through programmed cell death to give you an extra way of kind of keeping the cancer at bay.
So, for example, John Freeman is doing therapy right now, and he's saying that it's working, but it's not working as good as it was when he first started. So some of these things you have to go back and forth with for the individual, depending on what staging they're at.
Yes. So let's say that I don't know John Freeman's exact.
John is there. John, can you speak up?
Yeah.
Talk to Dr. Murphy here. Tell him
Hi
what
there.
you're doing.
Well, the horse was not only out of the barn when I was diagnosed, it was several counties away. And I stage 4 metastatic cancer right from the get-go, and I don't know, Gleason score of 8 or 9.
Okay.
And so I've been through a whole series of chemotherapy and radioactive infusions and different kinds of pills and things. And I'm now we've kind of run out of most things, but because of some genetic mutations, I'm taking Lynparza.
Yep.
A reduced dose because of some kidney damage, but it's the one thing that has, I think, had the best results so far with the fewest side effects. But it's not, but my PSA had gone down from 178 to 56. Now it's up a little bit again. And I'll be having probably a scan this coming month just to see what's going on. But it's something, some things worked well for a while and other things didn't work much at all.
Yes. John, you're on the other end of this. So in the metastatic prostate cancer space, it used to be about 3 years median survival. The median is now 5, but there's a lot of range.
Well, I'm now at almost 16.
Yes. So that was my point earlier in this discussion, because we have these multiple steps, and he's lucky enough to have a mutation profile that allow him to do a PARP inhibitor like Lynparza, he gets an additional one. So you're bringing up a couple good issues, Mr. Freeman. One of them is the importance of not only testing the tumors that are floating around your bloodstream for the prostate cancer. Those are called circulating tumor cell assays, where although the prostate is an organ in your body, cancer oftentimes will cycle through the bloodstream to try and land other places sometimes. And most times it doesn't have the mutations that will allow a prostate cell to live in a bone space or to live in the brain or live in the liver. But over time, it can get those abilities later. So when people take out their prostate, sometimes there are still circulating tumor cells in the patient's bodies and it can come back. Did you have a primary treatment or did you say you were diagnosed with metastatic prostate cancer?
I was diagnosed with it. I had no symptoms, but a new personal physician noticed my PSA was at 60 and did a digital exam and said, it was swollen. And a couple weeks later, it was up to 80, the PSA.
Mm.
So I had no symptoms.
Did your primary care doctor offer you the PSA screening at younger ages or no?
My previous physician wasn't much for prostate anything, and I was a bit naive. So he didn't like do digital exams and very little PSA tests. Um,
Yes. Okay,
I
you're,
mean,
you're giving me all the stuff that I wanted you to say. I didn't pay you for this, but I probably should have.
okay, I'm game.
Uh, I love
No, I mean, one of them is a lot of my patients are now saying they have to advocate for prostate cancer screening with their doctors because the guidelines have been all over the place. So doctors don't have to screen you for prostate cancer like they have to do for cholesterol and for colon cancer, right? They have to screen for those because those are in their guidelines. Prostate is given a grade C by the U.S. Preventive Services Task Force, which regulates what insurance pays for. And so they don't have to do that. So if they think that prostate cancer has done harm to patients in their view, they don't screen. Now, we've done a lot better as a urology community to do better with only treating people who need treatments, with active surveillance as being one of the major inventions. And then other blood tests and MRIs can help determine who not to do biopsies on. But so John's case really highlights a few things. One, the importance of advocating for screening at the right age in your 40s. Um, the second thing he's saying is, most men are naive about this stuff, and you have to, if you are a person that knows about it, you should tell other people about how important it is to do this. Because men should not be as naive as we are when we have women who are not naive about breast cancer. It's very common for women to get screened for breast cancer and talk about it openly. We need to be able to advocate for our other men, especially minority men. John Freeman, men of all races are not good about talking about health in this country and being open about this stuff. But thank you for being so willing to share your story. The other bit is not just the circulating tumor cells uh, can cause the cancer to spread, but it can also be a way to detect genetic mutations in them that can be used by your doctor to treat it more effectively. So if you have DNA damage repair or mismatch repair or homologous recombination deficiency kind of signatures, meaning that you have mutations that says that your body does not repair DNA damage good, doesn't do a good job at doing that. We have drugs now that can take advantage of that and kill the cancer more effectively. There are other types of mutations that can be used, including for Mr. Freeman's case. His tumor may change again. It may get new mutations, and it may become susceptible to other treatments down the road. So don't forget about clinical trials as a way to manage your prostate cancer. And if you're going to a local doctor and down the street, don't forget to get a second opinion at a place that does a lot of prostate cancer treatment where there's high expertise. because they have different offerings. I'm not saying that Mr. Freeman is not at a great place. I'm
Yeah.
just saying this for other folks, shop around a little bit to get yourself into a trial.
Right. He's at MGH.
Okay. Yeah, you're doing all right.
Yeah, he's there.
Very nice.
Okay.
Clinical trials were my next point, was just that prostate cancer mortality has the biggest disparity of any cancer disparity. So what that means is that the mortality rate from prostate cancer in white men is only what is it? It's 132 per 100,000.
Mm.
But in blacks, it's about 254, 245 to 254 per 100,000. So we have a very high mortality rate. No, I'm sorry. Those are the incidence rates. That's the incidence rate difference. The mortality rate is about 18% in white, and it goes up to 37 to 43% in black. So it goes 2.5 times the rate for death of prostate cancer.
Yeah.
There's two papers one is from the VA and one's from this guy named Robert Dess, who was in what's his my guy? He's I don't agree with the paper, but because I don't agree with the analysis, but basically they show pretty well done study that if you have a black man in a VA system, equal access system, or in a clinical trial, their mortality rate goes back to the same as what it is in white men.
Mm-hmm.
So the mortality rate difference decreases dramatically when you're in a clinical trial. So to me, that says that making everyone treat this patient in a standardized way, right, really benefits them. If I gave you a blood pressure pill and I said that it cut your risk of death in half, you probably would take it. Most blood pressure medications don't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. So it may cut it down by 30%, but it does not cut it in half.
Right.
Prostate cancer clinical trials cut your mortality rate in half if you're black.
Uh-huh.
So I used to be really suspicious of clinical trials, but then I became a researcher and realized what was happening.
Mm-hmm.
When a man says, I had to pick up my wife from work, or I had to do a double shift because I didn't have enough money for bills, right?
Mm-hmm.
They miss an appointment. They may not get another appointment for 3 months, and they're no longer on getting their shots their treatments on time.
Yeah.
Right? Clinical trials make the doctor and the nurse call you and say, "Hey, Mr. Smith, Mr. Freeman, you missed your scan appointment. I need you to come back here and get that done." And they don't give you an appointment in 3 months. They give you an appointment next week.
Yes.
And so increased navigation, increased rescheduling, increased people educating you about your disease is why that's probably happening.
Yeah.
Because I navigate my patients better when they're on a trial of mine, because I have to do it by regulation, right?
Mm-hmm.
To have an NIH trial, to have an FDA trial, right? You have to have people go through the timeline just right.
That's right.
In an equal way. That is important for minorities who have felt disenfranchised from the medical system since slavery.
Yes, yes. You got a couple of questions, people with their hands up here.
Okay, I took myself off of the view of the hands.
Yeah, so Tony and I think Sean has a question, but you're both on mute. Unmute yourselves.
Well, go for it. Go for it, Tony. I saw you first.
Okay, I knew to unmute. I have a couple of questions and then also a comment, and I'm going to backtrack just a little bit on something that you said that kind of struck a chord with me.
Please.
And you mentioned being naive, and I think that was very kind of you to put it that way. But I think that even for women as well, you talked about breast cancer. I'm thinking more pap smear, but that's not something that we do talk about a lot. I don't think, at least not in my age group. But wouldn't you say fear is probably the word that would be best to describe why men of any color would not get this done? Looking at all the information that you have shared with us, I am scared to death for them. That does not look like it certainly is not pleasant for women to have pap smears done and things of that nature, or to have the yearly gynecologist take a look at us. So what would you say, or what have you maybe researched and done that would encourage
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of things.
of help?
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take your pause as a stop.
That's okay.
There's several things. One of them is that I tell men this all the time. When you go early to the doctor and you start seeing problems happening, your PSA trends up, right? A lot of my guys will say, "Hey, I'm gonna get healthy and stop smoking and stop drinking," and they get their BPH, their urinary symptoms treated. Oftentimes the PSA goes back down, right? If they get their PSA levels checked, they're getting a blood test like they're getting with their regular labs. So it's more about in the primary care setting, just advocating for the test to be done. And then if you start seeing things be off with your cholesterol, right, with your blood pressure, with your hemoglobin A1C for your diabetes screen, you know to kind of get a little healthier in that area. That's how I think men should think about their urinary health, their prostate health, because a little prevention can actually be better than the cure. We don't know that there's one cause for prostate cancer, but they think that there's an inflammatory path through unprotected sex, or just exposures through your diet or high body inflammation. There's also this kind of like things that make your prostate grow and grow and grow a lot. And that could be you're on testosterone when you're not supposed to be on extra testosterone. Or it's you are holding your urine and causing inflammation because you don't go to the bathroom on time. Or you are getting urinary tract infections over and over again. There's an inflammatory path. And then there's the regrowth path where you're eating bad foods, right? You're not taking care of yourself well. Things that make you get more exposure to toxins can be a path. So, and then heavy metals, like being in like Agent Orange exposure or Camp Lejeune burn pits. Firefighters are worried about that. I tell my firefighters, hey, I know that you've been exposed and you've been doing this on purpose, but you need to wear your mask all the time and you need to get screened and you get right. So I think it's about knowledge and prevention is the way I try to go about it. You don't need a rectal exam all the time. You can just do the PSA blood test, and if things are moving off, as long as you're scheduling, you're going regularly, the PSA detects 95% of it. You need to do the rectal exam if it's high. And so you're right, there is a fear that men, like they're running away from me. Uh, and I have small hands. Like it's not so
Yeah.
I think it's table room talk is hard. I think we took a lot of health out of the classrooms and a lot of the reproductive education out of grade schools. I think
Yeah.
really putting that back in there would help men to understand what their bodies are, because the nerves for the nerves for erection run alongside the prostate. If I have to take it out, sometimes we threaten your erectile function. Sometimes men are motivated because of their future sex life. Sometimes they're motivated by their urinary life to take care of their diets and exercises and not get too overweight because it can kind of keep things healthy.
Mhm.
I just one last last comment that just came to my head. Thank you for that information. And Lord knows you have given me more information tonight than I have ever known. I'm 71 and I did not know all of the things, and probably knew less than 50% of what you were sharing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. There are a lot of men in my family, and I'm going to be more encouraging for them to have that awareness, and the fact that going for a blood work may take the fear away from having those things checked earlier. And so thank you for all this wonderful, wonderful information.
You're welcome.
President Ramatar, you had a question, I believe.
Yeah. Like I also like to say that this information is very great and fantastic. I mean, it's like Dr. Lorna said at the beginning, that I was going to learn a whole lot. I mean, after hearing all of this, which is quite the information overload, as a man, and your comment about small hands, I mean, that's the first thing when I was younger. That was one of the major issues about this knowing that this exam was in my future, and a lot of us men have our homophobic tendencies when it comes to such things taking place, and even me, every time that it's been done, I just felt violated. Like, so that is probably the number one barrier to this. But my question is, after hearing all of this, is that how often should I be having these tests done? Like once a year, every 6 months? How often do I need to be? Because like so many other things, like with COVID, like all of the stuff that you rattled off, it could be something else. Like you know what I mean? It might not be cancer, or it might not be my prostate. Like you said, urinary problems. Either I'm masturbating too much, I'm having too much sex. Like it could be anything. So that's basically my question: is how often do I need to check this?
Thank you for that question. Is it Ramatar? How do you say your last name?
Ramatar.
Ramatar. Okay. Mr. Ramatar, the quick.
And you can call me Sean.
Okay. All right. Keep it easy for me. Sean, the easiest answer to your question is, in your 40s, it's tailored based off of how high your PSA is. You can safely do it every other year if you wanted to, in your 40s to 55. In your 55 to that 76-year-old now, you do it once a year. And then after 76, it depends on how healthy you are. Because if you're a healthy guy with one, medical comorbidity or one medical diagnosis, you can continue as long as you have 10 to 15 years life expectancy. So the people who I tend to continue after age 76 are, well, my mom lived to be 96 and my dad's 104. Like that kind of person continues if he's still functioning well. The government agency, the United States Preventive Services Task Force, told the country to stop screening at 69, which is how President Biden at 82 did not get detected. Right? Because he was beyond the screening age. But this man was still trying to run up and down the staircase of Air Force One. He tripped a couple times. But in general, he was doing pretty well up until a couple years before, riding his bike and running. So if you still look like you're functional, you should, and active, and you have a good health outlook, keep screening. Once you fall below that 10-year life expectancy, you're supposed to stop. If you are 75, 76, and your PSA is less than 4, you can pretty much stop, because those people don't get prostate cancer. Like, it's very rare if that's your situation. So to answer your question, when you're young, every other year is being aggressive, doing it based off of the fact that if you're below 0.7, you can keep going. Above 0.7, you can wait till you're 50. So that's one part. The second part about the PSA being the big scary part, I think the way I would advocate it for it if I was a patient in the doctor's office, right, is I agree to do the PSA test. I want you to do that. I only want to do the rectal exam if my PSA is abnormal.
Mhm.
Well, I believe right now, because I have a very good nurse practitioner, she's been doing it every 6 months. I remember about a year
She
ago, I
like you
did
a
have,
lot? I'm joking.
huh?
Every six,
I said, did she like you a lot? That's a lot.
every 6 months, I think that's a lot too, but go ahead.
She's uh, I don't know. That's just, I don't know. You know, Marcy.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
do.
So, but I don't mind it because, it's keeping me healthy and making sure nothing is or supposed to be making sure. But I did have an elevated one a year ago, and
Oh,
and then we did the test again, and then it was in the normal range
So
and
my
whatnot. And
routine, oh, I'm
I
sorry.
guess it's one of those things that you were talking about. I was just very active around that time, and that's what caused it to be enlarged.
And like what Marcy is doing is if you had an elevated PSA and you get referred to the urologist, I follow it every 6 months for a year to make sure it doesn't trick me to go back up. So as long as it stays stable for that year, then I return you back to annual with your primary care doctor. So she's probably in that middle time where she's doing 6 months just to make sure that it's not consistently going up. That's okay for a year or two, for a year, 18 months, but not longer than that. All
We're
right.
gonna, Sean, we're gonna get you directly to talk with the AdMeTech staffing after this event, okay?
Definitely. And
Yeah, we're gonna plug you in. We're gonna get you plugged in with Dr. Fay here.
okay, just to make sure, Sean, you will get the best in class care of a kind that the providers of our prostate cancer clinical care equity program can provide, which means getting appropriate diagnostic evaluation, getting appropriate screening at the appropriate intervals, and physicians like Dr. Murphy and other physicians participating in the prostate cancer equity program here in Massachusetts have access to the best information available today, best diagnostic evaluation available today, best approaches to screening, and best therapeutics. So Dr. Murphy talked a lot about the critical importance of access to high quality care, equal access in veteran system. Veteran administration system, he pointed out, led to equal outcomes. There are no disparities in prostate cancer outcomes between Black and white men in veteran administration, in military medicine, in clinical trials. So our prostate cancer equity program gives access to the best physicians in Massachusetts and sometimes outside Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
They have specialized diagnostics not available here or therapeutics to make sure that each man will get the best treatment available today, and each man will be supported every step of their medical journey, which means scheduling appointments, which means exactly what Dr. Murphy described within the context of clinical trial. We actually took the clinical trial model and created this a routine approach for our prostate cancer equity program that has patient navigators. It means that, Sean, if somebody like you will come to our program, you will not be dealing separately. You will not be sent from registration departments to scheduling departments to financial assistance departments if it is necessary, for transportation support, for insurance issue. You will be dealing only with AdMeTech Foundation and with a clinical navigator.
Mhm.
And this is absolutely critical so that we will not see what we see in Massachusetts in general, when Black men and white men get recommendation for life-saving treatment. We see that Black men are 22% less likely to come back for the treatment he needs critically to survive prostate cancer. And the clinical navigators and structure of support we provide through AdMeTech Equity Program, jointly with our clinical partners, provides the kind of support men needs. We do not see differences in outcomes, and we do not see differences in compliance with physician's recommendation within our program. So if anyone needs help, we have a resource in Massachusetts to help men get facilitated access to the best experts we have, who in turn have the best approaches to patient care available today at every stage: screening, diagnostic evaluation, non-invasively, biopsy, invasive diagnostic evaluation, therapeutics, and even if somebody has concern about treatment, we support this man as well. So it
How's
is
that, Sean?
Sean, it is an invitation to Sean. It is an invitation to everyone else. By the way, Adam, Sean Romotar is president of Martha's Vineyard NACP.
That's
Oh,
that's right.
I also my next question is because, well, before I ask my question, I definitely agree with you about, this information needs to get out. Men need to start talking to one another. I actually have gotten to the place with not just with just men, because I've been disappointed in my men. And we're not communicating. So in my own circles, I have begun communicating about stuff. Me and people that I've grown up with, we all joke we don't need any new friends. That's how close we are. But we been talking about, because we're all of West Indian descent. We talk about, the medications that we're on, the different things we got going on. Like my brother from another mother just had some things going on with his intestines where they had to do these things. And so we were talking about those kind of things. And so I definitely know there's a need to get this information out. And as I'm hearing about you, so I'm definitely interested in any testing that you guys want to do. I'd like to live as long as possible. And I'd also, now being the branch president and whatnot, I know this is one of the things that, Dr. Lorner has been working on, like, y'all talked about for like the last 10 years. But as we rebuild here, definitely need to get this word out to our residents. There, it's a bunch of men here on this island that I'm sure that don't know anything about anything that you just said. And then my question is, because I keep hearing Massachusetts, is this something that's only going on here in Massachusetts, or is there other things? Because like I was talking about my brother from another, he lives in Manhattan. So,
He lives where?
Manhattan?
Manhattan, New York,
New York.
in New York City.
Actually, we have Dr. Murphy is in Chicago, in the Chicago area.
Okay.
We have global.
That is actually where the national convention will be this coming year. So hopefully you will be there, and maybe we can get this on the agenda somehow.
I would like this to be on the agenda.
oh, that's really nice.
National conference. Yeah.
Okay, well then I guess at our next meeting we need to put that on the agenda, and we
Dr.
need to
Murphy
send
and
that up
Dr.
to
Stern.
Tanisha at NEAC.
Yeah.
And get Tanisha to start getting the ball rolling. And this is what's coming out of New England.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll make it happen. The other thing I wanted to say, I wanted to share with you, we have Derek Lewis here, who's a prostate cancer survivor. Derek, you're on mute. Are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. And Derek's down in Atlanta, Dr. Murphy and Dr. Stern. Dr. Stern, you talked to Derek last year. He was one of our people on. There he is.
Yes, yes,
Derek,
right here.
yeah,
Amazing, amazing information that you guys communicated tonight. And I want to be a sponge for the information because 2.5 years ago I was diagnosed with stage 2 prostate cancer, and I was treated for it. And they basically check my PSA every 6 months, and as of now there's no signs of it returning. And I think I caught it early enough where I'm not having any serious problems. But it's a scary thing. And I had no symptoms whatsoever. And I'm the type of person who, I try to, I listen to people around me, and, some of my friends were like, hey, I went through this situation. I think you should check your PSA out and da 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 da. And I did that, and they said, hey, look, it looked like you kind of elevating, your PSA levels kind of creeping up. And one thing led to another, and then I was in a situation where I had to make some decisions, and and I was just out there, just trying to get as much information as I could. And thank goodness I know people like Kevin Chambers. I know he's listening in, and Lorna.
that's my brother.
Right. So, I was able to, I went through a round of radiation treatment and hormone therapy, and which knocked it out. And it was just a scary time for me. So
Eric, do you
you
remember
know,
correctly that you live in
I'm,
somewhere you were taken care of at Emory University, right?
yes, Emory University in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yes,
And what
yes,
we
that's
did, obviously, it is, I must say, Sean, that our program, the best infrastructure is in Massachusetts. Okay. And yet we have global network of physicians we work with. We had requests recently coming in to help a man in South Africa. And we did, because we have
Yeah, and I grew up in the
in
Boston area, so I was born and raised in Massachusetts, and I still believe that we have the best medical system in the world in Massachusetts. So, I'm a little jealous that I can't be treated there, for whatever happens. But
Emory is pretty great. But what we did for Derek is we connected Derek with uh, a very distinguished urologist at NIH
Wow.
and at National Cancer Institute, Dr. Peter Pinto.
Mhm.
And actually, just to make sure that, and they had a virtual appointment,
right,
and the point of it was for Derek present to Dr. Pinto what was offered by his physician to make sure his care was on track.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of a second opinion. And I super believe in that. I get a lot of those now as
hmm
well, because it's important when things can affect your quality of life so dramatically. With incontinence and erectile dysfunction as potential possibilities,
yeah,
you want to know that you're going to get it right. And also, you don't want the cancer to come back. So, yeah, hugely important. I just want to thank
hmm
you all for inviting me to this. And when you are in Chicago, I am a foodie. I am also very, very passionate about community outreach and engagement. I am the assistant director of community outreach and engagement for our Lurie Cancer Center in Chicago. So I have a team that comes out. We do prostate cancer screenings at events like that you're talking
Wow.
about, but I also do educational things as well. So
Dr. Murphy has an outstanding program in community outreach that have made a tremendous difference for a lot of men in the Chicago area. So he will be a great speaker at the national conference in
Dr.
Chicago.
Lorna, do you have Dr.
I
Murphy's
have all
information?
I have all the information and would have the team come, Dr. Stern and Dr. Murphy,
As
to
long as
do
you
it.
come to
So
us, Sean, as long as you come to us, we'll connect you with Dr. Murphy. If
yeah,
you want to see Dr. Murphy in Chicago, when you will be there, for example, as his patient, if you want care in Massachusetts, we will connect you with people care as well. But if I were in your shoes, I would be reluctant to miss an opportunity to be seen by Dr. Murphy.
Thank you.
Well, I definitely plan to try to connect with them. And like I said, being that I know they already have their agenda, they've already planned whatever they have going on. But we will attempt to put the word. We will attempt to put the word out and put a bug in their ear that they need to add this to their agenda.
They can add this. Believe me, with what's going on in the world today, I'll make one phone call and it'll get done. Trust me, I'll make sure it gets done.
All right. But
that's why we love you, Dr. Lauren.
Okay. In the interim, Sean, I will ask Hava, a member of our team, to put contact information in the chat. The person who is managing our prostate cancer equity program is Emma Coyard. You're welcome to contact me. Hava will put email contact for everyone and for Sean, and our phone number that you can call. You can ask for me, you can ask for Emma, and we'll be able to help anyone, including connecting you with Dr. Murphy if you would like to see him when you're in the Chicago area. Okay?
Did you put that in the chat? Is Emma putting it in the chat? And Sean, put your things in the chat because this is all being recorded.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I will definitely contact you when I get there, Dr. Murphy. We're going to go get something to eat.
Hava, can you please type for everyone information, Hava or Daniel, can you please
phone number
put information for our phone number 617-523-3535, and our email is coordinator@admetechfoundation.org.
Guys, I have to drop off actually. I'm sorry.
Adam, thank you so much. It is so
Dr. Murphy, we loved you. We want you back again, and thank you so much for all this good information.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Dr. Stern, for the invitation.
Oh, this is wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for your generosity, Adam.
Talk soon.
Thanks, Dr. Murphy.
Bye-bye.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Dr. Andrade,
yes,
I said what I wanted to say about prostate cancer equity program.
Yes.
If anyone needs help, if anyone has questions, if anyone, we fully support men for any questions about screening, before screening, if screening is right for them, before and after screening, before and after diagnostic evaluation, before and after biopsy, before and after treatment. So for any man who wants to talk about his personal situation with an outstanding physician like Dr. Murphy, but in Massachusetts, perhaps, or with Dr. Murphy, we'll be happy to connect people.
That's wonderful.
Please call us. Please let us know if you need help or if you have any questions, would like to discuss it further.
Well, we thank you ever so much. I think that we've resolved most of the questions. And for those who want a one-to-one, the information is in the chat, or you can contact me and I can give you the information. You can call the AdMeTech directly and set up an appointment. Okay. And I think you'll be fine. And thank you so much for each one of your testimonies, and John and Derek and Sean for your questions, and Kevin for doing that connection, and Tony for all your questions, and my dear Reverend Joanne Huss and Maria Ruggio and everybody, and Dr. Murphy, as you all heard, he was fantastic. Even I, every day I like to learn something new. I learned something new today as well. So I want to say thank you guys, Tony, everybody. Love you guys. Stay well. Let's keep the mission going. We got to save our brothers. Black, white, green, purple. I don't care who you are. We got to save you. Okay,
This is great.
so,
Thank you so much for this.
oh, thank you. Thank you all. And have a great evening and stay healthy.
Okay.
God
Thank you.
bless.
Great
Okay.
evening.
Good
God
night.
bless.
Good night to
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you, Thomas.